Yeah. 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 What's going on, everyone? Welcome to this week's episode of Rivercity 93. I'm your host, as always, Elliot Barr, and is joining me, first and foremost, is my lovely group of people. We are not sad. We have had a full 48 hours to process it. It is what it is. We'll move on. We're still a better club. We're better than them. We don't tell fans on social media to go make GoFundMe accounts just because they don't have the expenses to make it up there to a trip. We don't go in other people's supporter section and have to make ourselves feel important. You know why? Because we are the Richmond freaking Kickers. I will not cuss. I did a lot of that on Saturday, but there are kids watching. I won't do it here because somebody will be upset. With that being said, Matt, how are you doing, my good man? Also, sorry about Maryland.
I don't know what you're talking about.
Okay, good.
I'm doing great. I think the better question is 48 hours physically, how are you doing? Because you might have had a time.
I did. A tie was had. I was sore Sunday morning. Didn't make it to church. So me and my wife, we have this thing where we can request one. We call it bedside Baptist. If you're not familiar with bedside Baptist, it means literally you work church from home and you just relax. So we each get two of those for the year. So I've used my one. I have another one saved up for the other Indy Derby, which is like homecoming week. So yeah, I was sore. I wasn't hungover because I was hydrated.
I find that hard to believe.
I wasn't hungover. I did go to Waffle House that morning and get some waffles, eggs, and some bacon.
That can be spiritual unto itself.
It was. I'm a little sad though because my Waffle House. So the guy that cooks at our Waffle House, the chef, he got arrested. I was like, dang.
Oh man,
that's how you know it's a good Waffle House.
Oh, that's why I love it.
That's what I was about to say. That's when you know it's a Waffle House for real.
Yeah. He got arrested for not paying child support, so it's like sucks because like you're a deadbeat dad, but like he can make some slapping waffles.
Yeah, but they give him one more day. You could have tipped him out better.
You're right. I could have tipped him out a little bit more. Also joining us on this podcast as well is Mr. Chenier. How are you doing, sir?
I'm doing all right. Like you said, it's been 48 hours, so I think I've gotten past the sulk, and had the opportunity to look at things a little more clearly. So.
Yeah, it always helps when you're a little bit more sober and you get to watch the game back. And last but not least, the literal peacekeeper of Section O, making sure the section didn't burn down on itself, was Kate. How are you doing, man?
I'm doing well. I didn't do any peacekeeping. I turned myself around and sprinted away from any situations happening in our beautiful section. There were confrontational moments at many points among many people, most notably us, against basically every child attending the Jefferson Cup tournament who apparently made their way to City Stadium on Saturday night. Chaos agents, as I've referred to them before, causing a ruckus everywhere we turn. I guess got enlisted to be Madison fans for the day, which is something they'll probably look back on with shame and horror once they realize the true extent of what they did. So yeah, we had a lot of interesting interactions in Section O. Most of which I got involved when it came to the children. I love screaming at children, as the Independence Ultras have accused us of on many occasions. So I guess I did finally prove them right.
Can you make sure you clip that?
Yeah, I'll make sure I clip that.
Yeah, and then tweet it directly at the Independence Ultras as proof of their allegations.
Yep, there you go. Hey, you're not having a good day at a soccer game unless you yell at a kid or two. Get rough.
Clip him right back. You clip yourself right back.
What's your favorite age to yell at, Kate?
Yeah, what's the age range? What is too young for you to yell at?
Well, I will say I did have to tell a child to stop screaming in Section O because I guess a bunch of sort of in the 6 to 7-year-old ranges were having a screaming competition when the players were walking by the wall. So I did have to say in firm but gentle tones, stop screaming, please. And they finally did because I just couldn't at that moment in time. But I think the best ones to yell at are probably the high school age.
Okay.
Old enough not to be
I think
pearl clutchy about it.
Pearl clutch. That's hilarious. So now we find out
I
that
think
Kate
the
has
early-
the preferred age.
early high school, late middle school age.
Oh,
Yeah.
yeah. Hey, look, that's a good age. That's a good age.
They don't
Sometimes you need to
realize
be yelled at.
adults are different than them in a lot of ways. So they don't realize that
Right.
what behavior from adults is maybe not typical adult behavior. Kids
Matt-
yell, so they're like, I guess everybody yells.
Matt, I don't know what time you got to the tailgate and whatnot, but like you said, I had a time. I had a wonderful time. I showed up with the official cup of Virginia State, which was a extra large Wawa cup, 40 ounce. Now, people were asking me how many shots were in it. I think I showed up. There were 5 shots in it. I think by the time I finished drinking it, there were 9. Banana. They made a Henny sidecar. I have never heard of a sidecar before. He made it. It tastes amazing. Added it to my drink. I think someone walked up, open there was like a bottle of Hennessy. Poured more of that in there. I was
the one Madison fan also was walking around with a bottle of Hennessy.
Yeah. So, a good time was had. There was, I swear, I'm never, this is going to sound bad, but, whatever. It's my podcast. It's our podcast. Somebody bought Bojangles and I think Lee's Chicken. And then
And
I turned
Wingstop.
around. Yeah, and Wingstop. I turned around for 10 minutes.
Wow.
Both boxes gone. Like, gone. And I'm like, yo, how did y'all eat that chicken that quick? Like, and then there was also concerning me. I don't know about y'all, but I get very concerned about seeing potato salad not on ice. And I just saw people just scooping it, putting it on their plate. I'm like, oh, y'all going to be sick.
I mean, I think I'd just be concerned with potato salad existing. What an awful, awful dish.
Fair enough.
Some of us are gluten intolerant and can't eat pasta salad, okay? It's all we have.
But look, at least you know to put it on ice.
Yes.
No, to put it in the trash can.
Okay, so now we know if you want to piss Matt off, bring him a container of potato salad. That has been established.
Piss me off. I'll be sad for you that you wasted your money and or effort.
Matt, are there any other foods that you eat?
I couldn't hear you over the laughing. What?
I'm sorry. Are there any other foods that you hate outside of potato salad? Now that we know this,
Oh, sure. I mean, why would anybody want to eat mushrooms? They're gross. It's literally fungus. Terrible. Coconut. It sucks. Why would? What an awful texture.
okay, there we go. All right, now we know.
Add in any of the other like mayo-based salads, mayonnaise, ain't it?
Kate is going through it over there.
All right.
All right.
Y'all are entitled to your opinions. You're wrong.
So
You're entitled to them.
I am 100% with you on the mushroom thing. I had this discussion with my wife. Mushrooms are a fungus. Fungus grows on things that decay. Why would you want to eat that?
Because a good grilled mushroom is good. Now, if we slandering tomatoes, I'm right there with you. I'll slander tomatoes all day.
Yeah.
Why would you need to slander them though? They're good.
I only eat the very little ones because the inside of a tomato is none of my business. Like the little ones are okay because they're still kind of crunchy. The bigger the tomato, the worse the experience.
And a sliced tomato has ruined every sandwich known to man. You just literally put it on there, but it's soggy, and you talk.
Everybody hates a BLT, right?
People don't eat the tomato. We really just there for the bacon and lettuce.
Has anyone ever done a study at restaurants of how many people ask for the tomatoes to be removed from sandwiches, like versus how they're originally?
I really
No,
think you did that
actually,
for
the
me.
thing that is most commonly removed from sandwiches is a close first place between onions and pickles.
Welcome to the Rivercity 93
Yeah.
Food Podcast, by the way.
I'm far more interested in this conversation than
Right. That's what we are. That's what we are. You do have
Wait,
a
Yeah.
game.
Everyone, rate this podcast, but add in your review whether you hate tomatoes, onions, or pickles the most, so we can get a study of where our listeners.
so we can properly judge which one of you are on the right side of history and which ones of you are awful people like Elliot.
I'm not awful. I'm sorry. Tomatoes are just a waste.
And I am a proud onion and pickle lover. I'm sorry.
Sounds like me and Kate on the right side of history.
For me, in
Pickles
a
are fine.
sandwich, I prefer my onions to be cooked, but
I do love a cooked onion. I'll put them in anything.
I mean, if we're talking about food though, I mean, big shout outs to whatever that food truck was that was there that was doing the paninis.
Oh
Because
yeah.
that chicken pesto panini that I had, top notch. Like I mean, another food truck there helps the lines along the way because they're still out of control. But I got in there early because I knew what was up. Not my first rodeo. You got to.
Hey, we gave them the warning last podcast.
Yeah,
Yep.
got to get in there at least 20 minutes before the game starts if you want to, get your food, because otherwise you're missing some of the game on some end of it. And it was an enjoyable experience.
Yeah.
That funnel cake, won the last couple, games over, on the Section O end. So you get a little bit of, dessert food. If funnel cake's your jam over there, looks like they probably have some other stuff in there too. Yep. Food cart games, stepping up at City Stadium.
Yeah, nah. The food cart,
Yeah.
the food trucks are doing well there. So I mean, we might as well go ahead and talk about the game. Yeah, I mean, it's not a. There's been worse, and it sucks a little bit because this is the derby. You don't want to lose to that pink team up north. There are positives to take away from this game. So I say let's start off with the positive, because if we start with the negative, we'll be here all night, and we don't got time for that. So let's start with the positive. I think one of the big positives out of it is Darwin scored a banger of a goal off of a nice created chance. And I think, to me, I think another positive is we're slowly starting to get Bill Hart back to game speed, like game shape. I think he's in shape. I think we're getting him back to game shape, and that's going to be a big plus for this team going down. Any other positives you guys have?
I thought they got.
I
I thought the momentum stayed strong. Like there wasn't that sort of 70th minute drop off, even when even when the subs come on, because obviously you pick your starting 11 for a reason. So sometimes that means the players who are coming on as subs are, that maybe they're not in the starting 11 for a reason. But I thought the momentum stayed pretty consistent and strong until the 90th minute, which has not always been true. So it was nice to see them continue to create chances even as the players on the field changed.
Yeah, that's a good thing. Matt, Chenier?
I think there's definitely some positivity with regards to some of the chances created. There were a lot more chances created than we normally see in the game, and especially with this being a derby and with Madison trying to kind of shut things down when they went 2 goals up. You would think that literally it would be a park bus, it would be sealed shut. One thing we've struggled with a lot in the past several years, I would say, is breaking down a defense, and we kind of did a decent job of attempting to do that in this game. But unfortunately weren't able to finish. I mean, because you hit the post once. I would have to say is I begrudgingly will say Lashley made some great saves to deny us to deny several goals. One from Bill Hart I think Espinal had one that was deflected wide, where he had a really good chance before he even scored the goal. So it's very encouraging to see us create so many chances. And
Yeah.
we're eventually going to get to a point where we're putting those away a lot more frequently than we are now.
Yeah.
Yeah, I thought there's a lot of positive things to take away from it. I mean, even from the very start of the game, the team was really pushing and playing from the front quite a bit. We've seen a lot of games over the years where it takes the team a little bit of time to kind of warm up to the match, but there were a couple corner kicks right away, first couple minutes of the game, and it didn't really let up at all. Whether that's I mean, coming off the post, whether it's Darwin's goal, obviously. I mean, I think that's the kind of thing that we've been waiting and for him to be able to really produce in some way. But the chances that Bolduc would create just by being able to stretch the field with his speed and be able to create that outlet, getting down the right touch line.
Mhm.
You know, it's not like I'm not gonna say it was constant. Like we weren't breathing down their neck for 90 minutes straight or anything, but it was consistent. And if unfortunately, 80 minutes of the game, it felt like the kickers were in really good control. Unfortunately, there were those other 10 minutes there that kind of came back to bite them in the end. But it was one of these games where even at halftime, you're like, all right, well, I don't really feel bad about how it's going. You feel like we're right there with them. It's a matter of their our corner went off the post and out. Their corner went off the post and in.
Yeah. Yeah, no, it really does feel like a lot of like sliding doors moments because, like, what if what if Emmy shot does go in there with the header? What if we're able to clear the chance? Like things like that. I, I guess one of the slight negatives, because we're going to negatives. One of the slight negatives.
I mean, one other thing I guess
Oh
to be
yeah,
able to
yeah.
add in is it didn't pay off on Saturday, but I thought we actually saw you know some of the depth of this team come into action. Like I will fully admit I was a little confused at first when Hayden came in for Maxi, because Maxi he's been really good this year, and being able to get up the left side, kind of providing that width from when Darwin kind of creeps inside. Hayden got in there and he was still able to really fly up the wing from the fullback spot and be able to combine well with Kirkland out there. You saw Bill Hart come in and still be dangerous, different kind of dangerous than what Bolduc was out on the right, but he was able to bring something so much like it was a mirror image of when the subs came in, because he brought Bill Hart and Kirkland in, and Darwin dropped back, but essentially replacing Darwin and Bolduc. So you move the guy who wants to cut inside and the speed guy onto opposite sides from what we had previously. So I don't think any of the you can say any of the subs came in and made the team noticeably take a step back in some way. Did it work out exactly as planned? No, they didn't get the equalizer, but still encouraging to know that okay, if somebody's having an off day, there's viable replacement there.
Yeah. It doesn't feel like there's a steep of a drop off as we might have initially thought. It feels like there's a little bit more, like you said, more of those like for like subs, players that can come in and have an impact. I will say this: like I appreciated the fact that this team didn't drop their heads, even being out 2-0, because I still had a feeling inside of me. I was like, all right, this team is going to create a chance. Like this team is going to make something out of this. It's just all dependent on like when can they score this first goal, and then B, will they have enough time to try to get a second? That worked out. They just never, you came close again. It's like I think you had Kirk's chance. I think there was another Darwin chance that they scored after that. So it felt like they were creating chances. It felt like they were still fighting. It still felt like, yo, we can still get in this game. And even like the XG on this game, and I know we don't use a lot of XG, but I felt like it's relative to this matchup. Like it was still like I think 1.8 to both teams. So it didn't feel as if like, we were not creating anything and Madison was dominating us or anything like that. If you want to go slightly concerning in terms of stats, I think now in every game that the Kickers have lost, they have had more possession. So this team might have an issue of breaking teams down like that. But I think like that's the give and take of the way how the Kickers play, where it's this, this team now is kind of, I wouldn't say counter-attacker, but they're more direct, a little bit more route one. They're not looking there, sitting there to unlock defense that are like, hey, we scored, or we're just going to sit back and allow you to dictate play. There's not that strength like that. So that might be a little concerning. So we might have to see more games to see how that flows out. But, I mean, overall, I think there are positives to take away from this game if you want to take away those more positives. On the flip side of that, Gebhardt. Well, let me start over this. Nico Brown is climbing up my hate list in League One. Him, Rafa Michigan, Marky Hernandez, top 3. Hate. But
explain, please.
Okay. So my hate list. So
just Nico.
Oh, because
don't really care about the others.
Yeah. Like he just flops everywhere. Like me personally, I don't think Nico's that great of a player. Like I think he's a great supportive player, but he's not like the one that's like, oh, you got to watch out for Nico Brown. He just flops. It gets the fouls, and like it is greatly exaggerated. Like he's not even like you can tap him in the back and he'll fall down and whatnot. This really just stems from Lexington, where he flopped his way to getting a pin when we were about to get a clean sheet, and he gave what's his name? I can't remember his name, but he made the pin, and he celebrated in front of us like, I just tied the game up. Like, no, you flopped and you got a pin for it. Like, you got rewarded for being a bad actor. That was it. So, yeah, that's part of the hate ranking for him. But Derek Gebhardt he torched his back line twice. On the first goal, I guess we could kind of talk. I mean, we could talk about it before we dive into the second one. I think is probably even worse. It was just like a series of like, you just need someone just to clear it out, and no one can really just clear it out. Mm-hmm. And Gebhardt made a run right behind Fitch and was there before Fitch even realized he was behind him.
James also went flying, like he went flying in on the initial ball, and I think he got a bit of a touch and it went out, but then he wasn't, he didn't, it gave himself less of a chance to be in position when the ball came back in, and he was kind of, I think, a little bit wrong-footed as well, because when I rewatched it, he really went flying across that 6-yard box and like maybe got a fingertip to it, but basically sent it straight to the Madison player in the box's feet.
Yeah, I mean, in fairness though, like he recovered enough to be able to make the big save on the first shot there. So,
but I wonder, if he was a little more like if he could put the ball out of danger rather than he blocked the shot and it went.
Yeah, I didn't think he got the initial cross. I thought that was Cello that was the one that cleared it.
Yeah, I couldn't really tell.
Doesn't make it better.
Yeah,
at all, because like, why are you going flying for the ball?
Yeah,
Yeah, that's another thing. James is a lot more aggressive off his line when it comes to like corners, which I'm not mad about. Like, because I remember like early on, like when you had like Pablo, when I were like, all right, Pablo's really conservative. Like Pablo's more conservative. James don't care. James is aggressive. He will go flying. He will do anything to try to get that ball up out of there. And I'm even more so impressed. Like he was able to recover it and make the save. Did he make 2 saves on that or just 1?
I think technically just 1.
Yeah, and then somebody else's body, like it hit somebody else's shin at some point. Like,
because I know it was bobbling around there for a second, and then it just.
I just wonder if he didn't commit so heavily, send it straight to the player, and the ball doesn't end up at the player. Maybe that initial save is a little more directed elsewhere rather than. I think he did fine under the circumstance, but it was so chaotic, and seeing him sort of wrong foot himself by flying in so heavily on that when the ball first came in, I think it kind of sets you up to be in the. You lose your positioning a little bit when you're in a big crowd of bodies like that and you've gone flying.
Yeah, I mean, for me, he's probably like 8th or 9th most at fault.
I mean, look at that point, because at that point, I think he's just straight reacting. I think
No, and he's a great
well,
instinctual shot stopper. Like that's part of why he's so good.
He's there. He's there.
One element I do want to talk about with regards to Stanton, because him coming off his line and not getting to the ball isn't what really affected that play that much. Because after he gets off his line, he misses. He comes flying one way, and Keller comes flying the other way and heads it clear. He's up on his feet and backpedaling back towards the goal way before the ball even gets to the I don't know who it was. Was it Boyd? The Madison player who received the ball. It was Kroll who crossed it back in. But the Madison center back, Mel, is in there literally playing a pick, blocking him from getting back on his line. And he has to kind of scoot around him, and Mel even kind of shuffles with him to keep him away from the goal for as long as possible. So by the time he gets back to the goal, he's not really, he's flustered. He's just had to work his way around a center back who wasn't trying to let him pass, and now he's back on his line. And to be honest with you, that shot is literally 4 yards away from him. I don't think any goalkeeper can be asked to say, "Oh, you have to deflect that away from goal." He's just.
Oh no! I don't think we're saying that.
I'm impressed that he got something on it. You know,
Yeah.
he's quick enough to get his foot out to get something on it. Yeah.
Yeah, no.
And basically, literally sends it right back to the
other. My fault. Yeah, it's just the other kickers players. Like Simon on this play, like I get it. Is a lot of stuff happening, and sometimes just not emotion. The human side of you just take over, right? Because it's FIFA. What you would have loved to see Simon do is be able to block out Gebhardt, like be a notice that Gebhardt is there. But when all that's happening in the moment, you're just like, yo, I'm trying to be anywhere to kind of try to make sure I can get this out, right? It's just that like the clearance. You're like, you just try to will it out of there. It just wouldn't get out.
Yeah,
and I'm pretty sure Gebhardt will never make that chance ever again as well, because that is like, you can give him 9 other tries of that, and that ball is either getting saved or floating over the coast. Post.
I mean, it's
bouncing. Bouncing
it's a shot from 4 yards. It's a shot from 4 yards out. He's probably going to make that 9 out of 10 times.
No, but I'm saying like they hit the crossbar.
Yeah, he's going to make it on us.
Yeah.
I mean,
it's more impressive that he almost missed it.
Rather than get it. Exactly.
Right.
To be honest with you, for Fitch's situation, I think that's extremely tough on him, because there's one thing when you're playing. Of course, it's always said when you're playing soccer, you got to be on your toes. Yes, you got to be on your toes. But literally, when the ball literally pinballs back and forth like two, 3 times in front of you while you're moving around, it's human nature to. You stutter stepping and you end up flat-footed. You're gonna end up flat-footed in that situation, because that ball, you have no idea where that ball is going. So, and to be honest with you, Gebhardt is literally just kind of moving his way towards the goal, so he's already on the move, while Fitch is just trying to react to, wait, where's this ball going? What's happening? Where's it going? Where's it going? And by the time it gets past him, he's already been put flat-footed, and it's one of those situations. It's just absolute chaos in the box, and I know a lot of people probably from up this way over next door to me are gonna say, no, you're just hating, but no, they just got lucky on that. That was luck. They got lucky.
Now the thing I don't see is how
hard almost.
I was gonna say Now the thing I don't see is how McLaughlin got an assist off of this, because he walked out of this game with 2 assists. That makes no sense.
That's not an assist. Well, no. Well, technically, it is an assist. It's an unknown assist, because it's when it comes off of Sneddon, it bounces off of his shin and goes to Gebhardt.
That's some generous scorekeeping.
That's
in
generous.
that case.
That is not an assist.
It's a generous assist. That's a very generous assist.
Crash is what I call it.
All right, I think if you want to look at this play, I think the much bigger culprit here is the sea of guys who just whiffed on the ball coming back across the box after Cella semi-cleared and the ball gets fired back in. I mean, you see Emmy whiff on a clearance. You see at least one or two other guys, just not get the ball out of there. That's where everything really went wrong. Like once, I guess it was McLaughlin, gets that shot off on Sneddon. It's like Schneer was saying, it's chaos ball at that point. But there were ample opportunities to get it done and taken care of well before that point comes. So I'm not as worried about the Simon or the Bolduc of it all. They just happen to be the guys who are standing near Gebhardt, and unlucky that the ball bounced straight to him and not straight to them. The other thing I just want to put out there, I know a lot of people were pissed at the AR. She called it right. Like
She did.
the ball was absolutely in the goal. Like we don't
Yeah.
need to pretend that it didn't go in, but she signaled it right.
It definitely hit the top netting.
Yeah, but she puts her flag up. She didn't signal offside. Once the ref looks over at her, she runs up to midfield. That's a signal for a goal. She was never, ever, ever calling offside on that play. Because it wasn't offside. There were like three of our guys standing on the goal line. Literally impossible for it to be offside. And two, that's learning out the mechanic right there. So there's different reasons that a flag can go up. So we're not always ones to praise the refs on this podcast. I thought she was actually quite good overall throughout the game.
No, I ain't gonna lie. She did have a power
good.
squat in her though. Like she looked like she could squat like four something. She could squat. Right. She was like in the stands. Like she was like honed in, ready to go.
Every corner kick.
Yeah, I mean, I wouldn't. She's probably going somewhere. She'll probably be doing NWSL games or something before long if she's got the good mechanics and has that proper focus.
Right.
So
it's true.
Enjoy the quality while you see it, and on to bigger and better things most likely.
Enjoy it while it's here, folks. Enjoy it while it's here. So the other point,
don't complain about it when it's good.
Right. Now the second goal that we gave up, this one I'm a little bit more concerned on. Is the natural thing we have talked about. It is the pace of our back line. So it comes off of a throw-in, goes to McLaughlin. McLaughlin kicks it back to Gebhardt. And Gebhardt, I think like in one touch, he burns Simon and Griffin. And just he takes the shot to the far post past Sneddon. But just the way how he burnt past our back line after one touch.
I mean, burn is an understatement.
I mean, it was not like when that goal happened. It took me a second to realize, like, oh, he really burnt everyone. Like it's almost the equivalent of like in football. She never cover your ear because I know you don't like football. It's like when you throw a slant and you just beat the entire rest of the defense to the end zone from 60 yards out. Like that's literally like it looked like what happened.
No, close. Yeah. I think what it looked more like was when you try to throw a slant, but the corner jumps it and takes it straight back for pick six because he's going completely the other direction and
right.
In like half a second, 15 yards clear of everybody already.
You just standing there looking like, oh, bro, he scored.
I think that's basically that's it. Yeah, Matt, that's exactly what that looked like. It's because I think everyone's caught moving in the other direction, and his first touch is what kills everyone. So that ball, McLaughlin lays it back to him, and his first touch literally slices through four players. And I think is it Espinal who's coming from the other side,
Maxie.
trying to come. No, Maxie. Maxie's coming from the other side trying to close it down, but it's like there's no way you're getting there. So yeah, that's one of those plays those 1 in a million plays where the touch was exactly at the time that everyone's momentum was taking them forward. So now they have to plant their foot to turn, and it's like, ooh, that made you look like a Pinto.
Yeah, but it's not the first time this season that's happened though. Like that Charlotte goal, it wasn't quite the same because it was coming from further back and start on the other side of the field. But that dude just absolutely, wasted Simon and Griffin for pace on that one too.
Yeah. Well, I mean, the perfect goal that's probably emulates it is the Virginia Dream goal, the third one, where their striker just literally just ran the same kind of route, like ran, it just burnt that back line. And
I'll be honest, I've blocked that one out entirely. I don't
that's
have
fair.
any recollection.
That
of
is fair.
That game
If
didn't
you
happen
are,
in my brain.
let me ask you guys
Yeah.
this question.
Exactly.
Let me ask you guys this question.
Especially
If you
since
are-
the only highlights were 20 minutes long. I was not watching that. Sorry.
That's fair. That's fair. Let me ask you this though: if you are Darren, is there any way how you can address the pace on the back line? Like, is it one of those situations where Darren is willingly sacrificing the pace of the back line because of, let's say, ball control or aerial prowessness or spacing, things like that? Like, if he takes away that, will you put more pace in, but then you'll lose this? Because it feels like, to me, the only one on the back four that can really stay with someone in the trackery is maybe Maxi. But Maxi's also 32. Like,
I know maybe Hayden has a little bit more pace, but he doesn't have necessarily like the height, like he's shorter than Simon is. So you're also maybe losing a little bit of like stature, in the box on set pieces, that sort of thing. So there definitely seem to be a lot of trade-offs. And I mean, I think a pacey with high technicality back line is what every coach wishes they had. They wish all their, if you could build your perfect player, of course they'd have all those attributes, but that's those players don't stick around long in leagues like
those
this.
players don't come to League One.
Yeah.
Okay. They don't come.
No, they don't. Yeah,
they used to, but they
League One.
play for all the MLS2 teams.
Yeah. They don't
That's
come
that's your dream profile of any defender is center backs with pace and height and outside backs with great touches and pace and would be nice.
Those guys make more than our entire roster does.
Yeah.
It'd be fun. So maybe not so. Maybe I mean seeing a play like that, does it make you lose any confidence in the back line? Or are you just like, it's one of those, like Shanae, you was saying, like it's one of those freak moments that happen where everyone just happened to be moving this way, and Gebhardt, who was quick, just went that way.
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah. I mean, I wouldn't say Gebhardt is is slow by any stretch of the imagination. He is a fairly pacey player. So with everyone already stepping in the other direction, now they've got to pump their legs back in the other direction. He's already flying forward at full stride, like taking those long strides forward with the ball. It's very difficult to catch him. Now, with regards to that, I think what would need to be worked on to prevent something like that from continuously happening is just a certain level of awareness and a certain level of having the ability to make your lack of speed, not a factor in terms of your positioning, in terms of kind of reading the play, reading where players are, and kind of having the defense get into more into the habit of anticipating rather than reacting, or at least a balance of the two. In this situation, everyone was kind of caught ball watching in that situation when that throw in came in. And when that first touch from McLaughlin takes it back towards the Madison goal, everyone's just ball watching and not realizing, oh, Gebhardt is charging towards the ball. So, I think over time, those situations, I'd say probably by the time you reach June or July, something like that is not happening again because the players are more aware of that. They're more and they're more able to anticipate something like that happening by reading the play in front of them rather than ball watching.
I think the only counter I have to that is, I mean, Gebhardt ain't new to this league, right? There's a little bit of, you got to know your scout, that's out there. he's a lot of things. He's not the greatest player, but everybody in this league should know that he's a burner, right? So you got to be aware of who you are on the field. Like if it's Boyce right there, okay, you're not worried about the same thing. You're more you got to know he's going to dance on the ball and you know try the dark arts and wind you up instead. So part of it's got to be a little bit of awareness of who's around you. That play alone is not what's kind of got me down the defense. I think it's the accumulation of everything. Like you go back, you think, all right, we were excited, last year 3 straight clean sheets, right? After after a long time without one. Well, now we're back on 9 games in a row without a clean sheet.
Yeah, we're back in
right?
the room as well.
The defense is looking, like the weak link, right now. It's not necessarily the attack.
And then one is the self-inflicted errors because, like, prime example, AV Alta, if James does not have that moment there, that's a clean sheet. The one moment against Charlotte, like that's a clean sheet we're talking about. Would it really feel like that? Like, so those are 2 possible. If they can get, and look, Darren has said this well before too. Like this team isn't up there with like Union Omaha, Greenville, where they can play past individual mistakes and still get points. Not saying that Richmond has to play perfect to win every game, but this team is going to be more successful if they eliminate those individual errors or turn it down a notch. Like they will be a lot more successful in the long run if they are able to turn on those individual errors and not have those mistakes just pop up where it puts you behind the 8 ball, and then it's kind of like, damn everything. Let's just, damn the torpedoes. And, we have to shoot our way back into at least getting a draw.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, and it's not fair to the defense that that's the standard, but that's the deal you make when you become a defender. I was a defender growing up. Like, yeah, strikers can miss 20 shots, make one. They're the hero. Defense, you make 20 great stops, flub one, you're the villain.
Right.
It's just the deal you sign up for.
It's just it's the unlucky nature of it. And also part of this too is like the midfield can help out a little bit more. They can pull their weight a little bit more.
Especially looking so defensive minded in its construction. It's not, the heart of the playmaking like it was last season, but it's meant to be
a little bit more box to box, holding and whatnot. So if you were thinking about it right now, because I know the table looks weird, we're still second in the table. But that's just because we play 4 games. Naples play 4 games. We have a good break coming up, so this team will get rest, which I feel like, to me, this is something that is needed a little bit. At the same point last year, after our first 4 games, we were averaging 1 point a game. We had 2 losses, 1 win, and a draw. This point right now, we're averaging 1.5 points so far. So it's tending in the right direction. Could always be better though. But
we also have played 2 of what I imagine will be 2 of the worst teams in the league, which
hey, it is what it is. On
you have to win those games when you're playing the worst teams in the league. You do have to win them, so that is a good sign. But I worry.
Right, but at the same time, like most people probably had Madison around top 4 preseason, and we played right with them. Like
and Charlotte as well.
It's hard to watch that game and say Madison was definitively better. Like, okay, maybe the kickers weren't definitively better than them, but it's hard to say it the other way around either.
Like it's not like and this is the thing too.
It was a very even game
in the league, because I will say in the league, the kickers have not been played off the park. Like there has not been a league game yet this year. Knock on wood.
League game.
Yeah. Once again, knock on wood. This team hasn't gotten blown out or looked like what we've seen in years past, where it's like, oh, we're down a goal. Okay, let's just work on possession. Like this team is still showing that spark of trying to fight back and create chances and go after it. Now they got a big test coming up on April 9th against Union Omaha, a team that, I don't know if y'all knew this or not. They really hate Emiliano Terzaghi. They really don't like that man. Anytime I make a post on Blue Sky, which by the way, follow us on Blue Sky, you can also donate to us in Ko-Fi. They hate it. They will talk crap about Emmy. It's really just stems because they don't like the fact that he flops, but I'm also like,
So does every
y'all,
player in the league on every other team.
right? Like y'all should hate Nico Brown. Like let's join in that hate. And also y'all feel there's a bowling alley. Like this is not, let's relax here. Yeah, this is a team that, we played in the playoffs. They knocked us out. 1-0. But before that, if we only focus on the league, we held a clean sheet in Richmond, 0-0. So,
but the fact that we also play Naples the weekend after will also be an interesting one because they've had a white hot start.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And this is the other thing too. We have Union Omaha has never beaten us in Richmond.
Oh, you sure?
Yeah. If I'm looking at Fatma right now in the league, we have 1 win to 4 draws. The last 2 games in Richmond were both 0-0s. Then there's a 3-0, and then 1-1, 1-1. That's in Richmond. So, I mean,
yeah. They've never beat us at City Stadium.
so simple as success. There's a will, there's a way, baby.
Okay, if you say so.
I'm just saying. I'm riding with it. Look, at least we're not like Tormenta, who has never beaten Union Omaha. I found that out this weekend. I was like, oh, that was
Tormenta has never.
They have never beaten Union Omaha.
Why are you surprised by that?
I just found it hilarious.
Not even a scammy one.
Yeah, no, I just laughed at it.
Nope, 3 draws, 9 wins for Union Omaha.
Yep. So, I mean, this team got some games coming up. So you got, like we said, you got Union Omaha coming to Richmond on Wednesday, and then on Saturday the team flies out, goes down to FC Naples. What do you guys? We'll focus on Union Omaha. We won't really get into the FC Naples part of it. But what do you guys? What would you like to see from Darren and this team, whether it's lineup or how they attack Union Omaha to pull out the 3 points?
I know this is not going to be a popular opinion, but to a certain extent, if the kickers do their job right, we can have a boring game. And when I say a boring game, I mean a game where the kickers are just tactically and strategically disciplined and kind of Italian football style. Defending is an art. Shut them down. Don't let them through. Create chances when we can, but keep everything disciplined. I think that's the only that I do think that and when I think back to all of the games against Union Omaha at City Stadium, I think that's how we played. We played very conservative, very structured, shut them down and frustrated them at every turn. And usually it's not a barn burner of a game. I would be fine with it not being a barn burner of a game. I'm fine with a boring game if we can get a draw or a win or sneak a win out of it.
Yeah. All right. Matt, Kate, what about y'all?
I think for me, it's seeing a little bit better on the chance conversion because we've seen the team be right around goal a good amount this year. For the Tormenta game, decent conversion there. Slipped a little bit recently and beyond just those penalties. We're getting right there, but got to be able to convert at a better rate. Like it 20 shots this last game. I think only 4 were on target at all. And I don't necessarily mind ripping some shots from distance to try to open up space with the defense and make them step to you a little bit, but the percentage has to go up a little bit take advantage of that because,
Mm-hmm.
yeah, especially against a team like Omaha, you might only get 2 good chances during the course of the game, and you got to be able to capitalize there, especially against the good teams. Against the bad teams like Tormenta, yeah, you might get a lot more opportunities, to be able to do that. And if you flub 1 or 2, it's not the end of the world. As if the team wants to get to where we want them to be, you've got to, likely get a little bit more ruthless in front of goal.
Yeah. Kate, right before you go, right now in the league, we're number 1 on shots on target at 5.8 a match. Second in big chances created at 8. One Knox has created only more with 9. But we're number 1 in big chances missed with 5. And I think 2 of those are pins. So that might be flipping it a little bit. But yeah, I agree with your point about a little bit more conversion rate. Definitely in front of goal. Kate, what about you? What would make you feel confident about getting the 3 points this weekend?
This is like a little bit more granular, but I'm kind of right now still liking Bill Hart coming on as a sub. I know based on like his knee injury being a meniscus issue, that's not something we want to burn out too quickly. Obviously, I'm happy managing his minutes because that cameo was really, really bright when he came on. We haven't seen him at his best in so long that it was like we'd signed a new player almost. Like we hadn't seen him be good for 8 months, that I'd kind of almost forgotten just how electric he is when he doesn't look injured. So if we could get him playing at the top of his game, even if it's not for the longest stretches, but frequently, then I'd be very happy with that. He's an unbelievable player to have on your bench, even if it is for, squad management reasons. So I'd be happy with him continuing to make cameo appearances especially against these top teams, because he elevates, the game when he's on and when he's in form and when he's healthy. So I'd like him to be as healthy as possible for as long as possible. So if that means him playing less, I'm all for that.
Yeah. No, I think that's a good point. Honestly, for me, I want to see the defense step up a little bit more. Like, don't be afraid to take control of this game. Clyde, Simon, Griffin, Maxi, like, take control of this game, and they have the capability of doing that. And that doesn't mean like being flashy. It just means like, being smart and playing complementary soccer. Like sometimes playing complementary soccer is probably the best thing. Put the balls in the hands of those who are paid to be creative and dangerous, and you make sure their creative and dangerous players don't get those opportunities and chances. So I think that would be key against Union, because we know, like, we personally know what Joey G can do, and things of that nature. So I think that would be a big facet here with all that. So the Kickers got 2 games coming up, not this week, but April 9th at home against Union Omaha. And then on the 12th, they go out to Naples and whatnot. So I'm pretty sure, like, I don't know if y'all agree with this or not, but do y'all guys think like having a break this early in the season is a good thing? Or would you want to have your break, like your first break, because there's multiple breaks in the season for teams. Would you want your first break to be a little bit later? Or are you cool with it being right now after, say, like the first 5 or 6 games? Me personally, I think it's a good point, because now you get to assess where your team is at before things get, injuries kind of change how you think about things or whatever, or players get worn out.
Yeah, no, I think it's better to get your break early. Unfortunately for us, it's after a very meaningful loss, I would say, because of the fact that it's the Henny Derby.
Mm-hmm.
And you normally, when you have those types of games, you kind of don't want time for the players to mull that over. You want to go straight into the next game. But generally, I think it's good to have that break early on, because you get to try a few games with one system and you'll be like, okay, it's not working, or it is working, or what needs to be tweaked. And now you can tweak it without it having already become routine for the players. So now it's not about completely breaking habits. It's about tweaking what they're still developing habits with, which is very good. So I think I'm happy with that.
Yeah. And real quick before Matt or Kate go, I don't know if y'all want to add this part or not. The Kickers last year, if I'm looking at this correct, they didn't have their first break to that Hitty Derby, July 3rd, I think, if I'm looking at it right. But yeah, if any of y'all, do you anyone want to add to this point?
Yeah, I mean, I don't mind having the weekend off. Obviously, the break is not intended to be this long. But I think it's fine. It's a little bit of an early season reset. I mean, we know the preseason, did not go as planned because of all the snow and everything. So this hopefully can be used as a reset point. If there are any, little knocks going on, hopefully something that can be ironed out over the next 10 days, something like that, because they don't have a weekend off until 4th of July weekend. They play on June 28th against Lexington in a Jaeger game, and then they got the next weekend off. Why we aren't playing on 4th of July weekend somewhere doesn't make a lot of sense to me, because you figure that's got to be the easiest ticket sales of all time.
Yeah.
But whatever, good for the guys, I guess. They get to go somewhere else for the 4th and do something. Whatever. So I'm fine with it. Wish it was only a week break instead of a week and a half break. But what's done is done.
Yeah, it doesn't matter. It doesn't matter. Look, that competition does not count because once again, as Kate says, not every team plays at it, so it doesn't matter.
Tin pot.
Yeah, there you go. So I'm assuming with all that being said, huh?
Oh no, I said I also wanted to shout out to. I think we are the second most teams in Team of the Week last week.
Oh yeah, we did. We've had a player in it for every week. I think we've had multiple.
Well, it helps when not every team plays every week.
Yeah, that's true as well.
Yeah, it does. It does.
So like this week, we won't have anybody in it. So that'll break the streak.
That first week when only 4 teams played and 2 of them won, so they just put everybody from
Darwin might make it this week.
What?
Darwin might get in.
Yeah. No, Darwin. I'm saying for this week coming, like after this Saturday, we won't have anyone in. Or unless Darwin finds another way how to score a banger on another team and just like, hey, just want to keep loose, guys. That would be funny. So we've been asked about it, so we want to make sure that we give a little bit of time to talk about it because since we have a week off, we're not going to have a podcast next Saturday because we're going to take a little break as well. But we wanted to make sure we talk about it. USL has decided to vote yes towards Pro Rel. So this is coming literally a month after they decided to go Division 1, to have a Division 1 coming in 2027, 2028 will be newly launched. So then you have 3 tiers. You have Division 1. There's no name yet, but most assume it's going to be named Premier. I'll be weak what if it's USL Star? That would be funny. If we think you also get the USL Championship, and then us, of course, we're down here, down here in USL League 1. As far as I know, and correct me if I'm wrong, guys, there has not been any talks about what Pro Rel is going to look like, how many teams are going to move up and down. I think I saw a Blue Sky message or something about the owners were talking about putting in parachute payments to help teams that were relegated or teams that got promoted. But outside of that, we don't know much. We just got this is the first time, we've heard the Dwellings before. They want to do Pro Rel. They want to do this is the first time they've actually put it out there and said, hey, we voted yes. So it is coming in 2027, 2028. Matt, I will start with you since you are the soccer historian and probably the most jaded about all of this. How do you feel about it? I knew I was getting a laugh out of you.
Well, I mean, in the grand scheme of things, I care about how it does affect the kickers, right? I do not care about the rest of these teams. They're they're just vessels for us to play against. Like, who cares? Yeah.
I
And
just want you to know I'm clipping that. They are vessels for us.
okay,
That is brilliant.
go for it. I'm not going to be one of those people who's like,
definitely-
oh, I'm rooting for everybody to succeed, and I don't care if we're
Oh,
not
yeah,
winning.
no.
I don't,
No,
what do I care
We
who
root for
wins?
chaos here, baby.
Let them all lose. Yeah. No, if we can't be happy, nobody deserves to be happy.
Yep.
Right.
Anyone
That
who's
is
saying, I hope Virginia Dream wins their next game, I don't. I hope they lose. I don't care.
No. I need Louder to lose. And I need Louder to catch his fade.
Yeah. But anyway, so going back to that, like, look, if you're living in some kind of fantasy world where all of a sudden everybody's going to dump crazy money in, and the kickers are going to be getting a lot of money coming in to the team, more power to you. I don't see that happening. I think we are who we are. I'm okay with who we are, right? We're a smaller market team. We found our level essentially, and that's great. So I don't see it affecting the kickers too much in any direction. So the downside I see with it, I don't know where all this like parachute payment is going to come from. Like, what's it going to be like? Oh, here's a 20 spot, like an actual little 20 spot,
Yeah.
From the league.
I'll be weak if the league just literally send you a $20 note. Like, hey, I'll cash app you, dog. Let me cash app you.
Yeah. Oh, sorry, y'all dropped. Here's my man Andrew to help you out. So there's that piece of it, but like when we do have a good season, that's great. But the reward for it is going up and getting our shit kicked in the next year, most likely. Like, think back to 2017, 2018. Those were not fun seasons.
Hey,
To go
that
to
was
games.
prime drinking though. We knew we was losing 4-0. We was already 5 beers.
Yeah, I've crested past 40. I can't play that game no more. Not that same way.
No.
So it's like cool. Like, and if you are like for us, if we are up a level and go into relegation race, I'm always at the point where I would think just let us go down and have a fun season the next season, have the opportunity be good. Like, there's no way you go over to England and anywhere else in Europe, and they're like teams like, oh, I really enjoy the relegation fight every single year. Hell no.
No.
That's got to be frustrating.
I know. Everyone talks about how fun the promotion battle is, and no one talks about how genuinely horrific the relegation battle is.
Yeah.
Like, it adds stakes to
relegation
neutrals, but as the fans of those teams, it's hell on earth. You don't want your team a part of that.
It's terrifying.
I know your team sucks this year, Kate. How is it?
No, it's awful. Like, you think you guys think Matt is jaded about pro rel? Don't even get me started. I will try to keep my comments brief when it's
in
time.
fairness, Elliot and Shanir's team sucks too.
Yeah. Well, I don't think the concept sucks.
Yeah,
but I think
we're not too far from down there.
Hey, I just want to put it out there. The kickers are very successful this year. Okay, we are playing 2 19-year-olds.
Second place, baby.
Yeah, exactly. My team is successful. Okay.
Yeah.
Yeah.
All right.
Yeah, but yeah, and that's kind of my thing. Like, I don't think the team's all of a sudden gonna get this like big financial windfall if they move up a level. I don't think there's nowhere to go down from here. So kind of a big whatever. I don't think it's like this magic like pixie dust that some people online seem to think that like, oh, this is going to save everything, change everything. Like, USL's still going to be little brother to MLS. That's fine. Like, I think trying to compete against that and throw good money after bad is probably a little foolish.
Yeah.
There. But again, I don't really care if Detroit or Louisville or some of them want to be foolish with their money. Ain't my problem. As long as the kickers stay reasonable, what they're doing. Now, what could be a really good outcome of this is if it means more teams want to come in, and we can regionalize our league and not have to do stupid trips to Spokane or wherever the hell Alta FC is, and Texoma, not a real place, stuff like that. Like,
Join the clan, man. Join the
give
clan.
us our bus plus puddle jumper flight league.
Yeah. No.
You got to get on a plane that doesn't have prop engines on it. too far a trip.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm. And I mean, that's one of the biggest things that I think most people don't understand about the implementation of ProRel is the costs expected, like the expenditures in each of these leagues. Already, the Kickers are one of the only teams in the USL One that's not losing money annually. So there's already an issue where
they're losing money.
Nobody is actually breaking even on participating in this league. And one of the biggest reasons for that is the travel costs. And that's not something that is going away anytime soon. So this idea that pulling yourself up by your bootstraps in terms of merit is somehow going to bridge a financial gap where teams are required to fly across the country on a weekly basis. And as we've heard from camp, the teams are not booking these trips directly. The league books all the travel. So the teams aren't even, logging frequent flyer miles or, saving money. The trips are all booked through the league. So I don't know what benefits the league is accruing through that, but they're not being passed on to the teams. So they're not getting to choose. They have to fly if any trip is over 400 miles. So they don't have the option to take a longer bus trip if that would be more cost effective than flying. So a lot of these things have been taken out of the team's hands, problems that do not exist in the smaller countries with ProRel, with
that makes me think. So that means the only trip the Kickers can do via bus is Charlotte?
Yeah. I don't know if Greenville might get like a grandfather in pass if it's only a couple miles, but.
Well, I was saying, because if she said if it's 400, and Charlotte is barely 400. Like Charlotte is like 350.
It could be 600, but either way, for most teams in the league, it's not a meaningful difference where every single thing is mandated by the league to be a flight.
Yeah.
To be honest with you,
before I go?
To be honest with you, the only time ProRel would be mightily beneficial in the U.S. is if you basically turned U.S. soccer into this side of the Atlantic version of the Champions League and just separate the country into regions and have each region have their own league, their own tiers within those regions of the country. Then you're looking at, okay, we're in the Northeast. This the Northeast Premier League, the Northeast Second League, the Northeast Third League, and then you have ProRel within that, and then DC United will go play against LA in like the USA Champions League. Like, so if you have something of that sort, then you're saying, okay, these teams are like, your travel isn't that much different when you go up, but it's just one of those things that's the biggest issue, and that's what's been holding things back for so long before we're now at the point where they've kind of given into it. Let's put in ProRel. I mean, for fans, I know fans are sitting there saying, "Oh, it creates more jeopardy within," but basically, like you said, Matt, it's like we get paid for us. The Richmond Kickers do well, and we get promoted into the USL Championship. That just means we're going through a whole season of getting our teeth kicked in all over the league.
You don't know. We could be a little Leicester out here. We could be a little Leicester. All right. You don't know.
But when you have no money coming in from the league and you have to make stadium upgrades to be compliant with the league for the championship stadium size, and you have to invest all your money, you're splitting the money between both squad upgrades and facility upgrades, because let's not forget that leagues require various standards. This is more than just the squads. I don't know what plan, because again, there are parachute payments from the leagues and from the broadcasters in every other country. That doesn't exist here.
There is
I don't know where this money is coming from.
2 19-year-olds, because we are flipping them both for mortgages in the West End.
Yeah, no,
they are paying for something.
I think that's a great idea. But again, I think a lot of people who are very into the idea of ProRel genuinely have zero concept of the financials of how any of these leagues run in any country, and think that ProRel is a magic wand that you can wave over a league, when they don't understand that there is so much money in the leagues that we watch overseas. There is more money than we can wrap our heads around, even in the leagues that we don't attribute very much cachet to, like, Serie A. There might be some hipsters who are really into it, but we can't even conceptualize how much money is in the broadcast deals for Serie A compared to the broadcast deals that we have for our even top league here in the United States. Like, the money that keeps these systems afloat is so far beyond ticket and beer sales that every team in the US is reliant on, or parachute payments from their own owners, many of whom do not have the pockets to sustain what we see overseas. It's not pro rel that's doing that. It's broadcast deals. And we do not have those broadcast deals. And I'm sorry, but the jeopardy that comes from a relegation battle is like 4 teams, 9 times out of 10, nobody cares, because nobody cares about these teams. These teams are not brands that any of us are invested in. We don't care whether Hartford Athletic goes down from the championship to USL 1. No one has any emotional investment in that story. People care about Everton possibly going down because we've been spoon-fed, narrative broadcast over the last 20 years by NBC Sports. So all of us with no connection to the city of Liverpool suddenly care if Everton FC is relegated from the Premier League. That doesn't exist here. We do not inherently care about these teams. There's no boom in ticket sales when, Sacramento Republic comes to town. Nobody's buying tickets because, the striker that, this random team at the championship has. These other teams, people buy tickets because they get to see Kevin De Bruyne. They get to see Bruno Fernandes. Like, the teams have cachet. The players have cachet. There are so much more going on in these pro-rel leagues than simply the league structure. The league structure is like an afterthought at this point. The jeopardy that these leagues is because half of them are fighting for Champions League places, Europa League places, Conference League places. The jeopardy at the top of the table is so much more exciting than those at the bottom. That does not exist in this country. That does not exist in any capacity. We're talking, when it comes down to it, there's like 6 teams in a league of 20 that have anything to play for coming into like the final 10 weeks of the season. It is so inconsequential from a day-to-day footballing basis that this idea that instituting a pro-rel system is suddenly going to catapult soccer to this higher echelon that none of these other leagues can compete with. It's ridiculous. It's uninformed. It's a joke. I love the idea of it, but nothing that these people, on the internet have been talking about for years is rooted in reality in any sense. Nobody is selling more tickets because they move up to the USL Championship, because most people don't know. They've never even heard of the USL Championship. These things don't have any branding value. They have no marketing value. I'm sorry. It's the reality of it. There needs to be people, you need to show up for your team and your community, regardless of the league structure that your team plays in. You have to show up because you love soccer and you love your community. And no magic institution of a new league structure is going to be a silver bullet to suddenly full stadiums, tens of thousands of people showing up for games that are meaningful only to the people who have already decided to care. So that's my rant. Is I think that it's silly to think that a league structure is going to solve the problem of people not caring about the team in their community.
And somewhere in all of that, you can see Don Garber's limp body being hauled away by Kate.
Don Garber doesn't want pro rel. He's not a part of it.
I mean,
to even further your point, Kate, when you talk about, all of a sudden are people going to flock to the stadium? I want you to think about City Stadium. Imagine we sell out every single game. Do you know how many seasons we would have to sell out every game in order for ticket sales to bring in the money to upgrade the stadium? That would probably have to be 3 or 4 years of sold out seasons.
This is the reason
for
again.
us to have the money.
2 19-year-olds starting. We gonna flip them. We are flipping. That sounds horrible to say. It's a soundbite by itself. We are using
clip that one too.
That is that is yours. Look, all y'all make excellent. I agree with all y'all. And plus, like, the statement USL put out there, it is vague at best because we don't have a structure. We don't know how this is going to work. We don't know anything. We just know they voted yes. And I agree with all of y'all. Like, pro-rel is not a magical being you just throw out there in a field and it just blossoms and it saves everything. Like, pro-rel ain't saving the hood. It's just not. But also in that same aspect of it, like, I wish there was more regionalized. Like, if they were like, hey, instead of just adding Division 1, we're adding a 4th division. So, like, there's a league underneath the 3rd. Make it a lot more regionalized. So that way, because like you said, Kate, like the thing that is hurting a lot of these teams, and the reason why a lot of teams are going under, if you were to sit down and ask the owners, why are you going under? They'll probably say one or three things. We can't find a stadium or land to build a place on. The travel costs and the infrastructure costs are more than what we can handle at this level, or a combination of A and B. That's really what it is. Like, if you go look at Lansing that went out of business, Fuego, and NoCo, they fall in one of those three categories.
Tucson.
Yeah, Tucson, the same reason. They fall in one of those two categories, or a combination of both. So if you can find a way how to make it more regionalized, like this is where, like NISA, if NISA was smart, this is what they would have been, is to been a proving ground for teams that want to be semi-pro or like League Two. Like, hey, we want to turn pro, but we're not ready for pro yet. We want to be pro at a regionalized level. So, like, say if you had a regionalized level between Virginia, North Carolina, Maryland, and South Carolina, right? That's regionalized. That works. And then if you go into that, it works. But I digress. I mean, it would be cool, but like also I think we are jaded, but rightfully so, because we've seen our team self-relegate. And we see how this club twice. We were right? Twice. We see how this club was going through that relegation cycle. We saw how bad those team was. May I remind you, 2018, this team gave up 80 effing goals. I didn't even know that was humanly possible. 80.
Yeah. And you hear a lot of people say, oh, well, Pro Rel will inspire, underinvesting owners to infuse more resources into their team. Owners are, refusing to give the teams, in the NFL or whatever, these perennial number one draft pick teams because their owners refuse to buck up. That's not the case in USL. This is not the case of billionaires just continuing to sit on their billions and refuse to hand down money. Like, these are owners who are already losing money every single season in the existing leagues.
What actually happens in Europe, usually those owners immediately turn around and try to sell off their team to recoup their losses.
Right.
Yeah.
This is not capitalism has already screwed sports far enough. This isn't some sort of divine rod of justice that's gonna
if you want to be realistic, the place where if pro rel is to happen anywhere in American sports where it should be happening is NCAA right now.
Yeah.
Like, that's where the structure actually could make some sense, especially with the NIL era, and everything. Like, all those guys are basically mercenaries at this point. Like, nobody's pretending to be a college athlete, student athlete, these anymore. Like, that's a system where it might actually be able to work. You have big national league, and then you can have your SEC, your Big 10, your Big 12 is regional second tier leagues, and work your way down a ladder with everything. That's where it should be happening.
Yeah, it should be. I mean, it's all fun, but I'll just say this: like, you see a lot more stories and fans talk about the promotion. Fans feel like, you know what? I really missed that season. We gave up 80 goals and we finished dead last at the table.
Mm-hmm. You're starting to hear a lot of teams in the championship say they'd rather skip the whole promotion battle altogether. Like, the promotion fight is fun, and then it settles in that you're about to watch your team lose every single week. And the only draw you have to keep showing up is the players that you'll get to see at your home ground. Like, the fact that you'll get to see Kevin De Bruyne, come play, for your season ticket. That's the only draw for these promotions. Is, at least you'll get to see blah, blah, blah score on your team. That's pretty cool. Might be a once in a lifetime. But everything else, they're saying, we're going to go back down anyway. We might as well skip back down to the championship where we'll be winning again.
Right. So, I mean, we'll see when more news comes out. I don't know when. The rate is what USL League One is. I mean, USL is going. They might drop something next month. They've been dropping news like once a month, something big. So we'll see. Yeah, it's going to be whatever. I'm trying to think. Is there anything else I forget? Oh, I think it's time we can break the news, Kate. Joining Kate, make sure you support our women's podcast, Vinecast. That reminds me, I need to put the logo out. So you'll see our new logo. We didn't have a logo last year. We have a logo this year. We'll put that out tomorrow. We'll also be introducing, Kate, correct me if I'm wrong. Is it 1 or 2?
2.
2. All right. Our 3 hosts for that show. Kate is 1. We also have Alan. You've seen him at tailgates. He's an Atlanta fan. I joke with him every time Brad Guzan makes a mistake because Brad Guzan is 40. He should not be playing goalkeeper anymore.
Why are we hating on 40-year-olds?
I'm not hating on 40-year-olds. I'm saying Brad Guzan.
I feel like you definitely are.
No, I'm hating on Brad Guzan. He's another one on the hate list. All right, he's like 4 on the hate list. He's like 4th. Kate, remind me, who is the other gentleman?
His name is Alex Dunn, and his wife were founding club members last season, and he reached out interested in joining part of the coverage, which is great because it is a very heavy lift, as I'm sure you all can understand. The Ivy play twice a week, and those games are broadcast on YouTube, and there's no one tracking stats. There's no FOT mob for USLW. There's no highlight videos for the most part recapped. So you just have to watch the entire match from start to finish and keep track of everything yourself, because coverage there is no other coverage, period. So it's a lot of legwork to be prepared for the podcast and be able to recap them in detail so that you all who don't have time to watch 2 90-minute games on a grainy YouTube stream a week don't have time to do all that. Somebody else does it for you and give you the highlights. So
yeah, exactly.
Looking forward to have more people involved doing that, and hopefully we'll have some great conversations and continue to build out our coverage of the Ivy for the sprint, not marathon, that is their season.
Yep, there we go. And we also heard from camp that they are increasing the coverage. Well, this is the Ivy, not the league. The Ivy are increasing the coverage of it, so there'll be a better broadcast package. I think games still have to go through Sport Engine, but I think they'll be on YouTube as well. So make sure all the podcast episodes that we're recording are still underneath Rivercity 93. I went through, cleaned it up. There's an independent tab for Vodcast, so Vodcast will have his own independent tab because we know there are some people who only support the Ivy, which I ain't gonna lie, I low-key love. Because at the Kickers game, there are people that will only wear Ivy jerseys, and I love that. So yeah, on our YouTube
I don't
page,
support both.
Yeah, you can support both. On our YouTube page and on our website, there are independent tabs for the Vodcast. So if you ever want to catch up on an episode or go back and listen to previous episodes, you can as well. Anything else, you guys, before we take our little vacation before we come back? April 13th, I think it is.
Yeah, I was shocked by the attendance number that they announced. I would have bet anything that it was, well over 5,000 because it felt to me more crowded than, the previous game when they announced 5,500.
It did. Yeah, that was weird.
Like maybe it wasn't 5,500 again, but it didn't feel like 1,000 people less.
Yeah, I was surprised by that number as well. I thought it was like close to 6 because I think we asked that last week. Like, are we going to hit close to 6? I think Shanae said it was.
Well, I think the main one was at the home opener. I think a lot of people didn't come into the stands. I think there were more people. So I think probably the stands looked similar amounts of full. But I know with the home opener, since there's probably a lot of people who don't normally come to games, they love standing up on the concourse for like most of the game. The concourse was really pretty full for the opener.
Yeah, I mean, maybe some of that, but I mean, like you made reference to earlier, though, with all the kids you were looking to abuse, there are a lot of Jeff Cup teams there. I would have figured that would have just padded the numbers.
I also wonder how many. Do you think anyone got free tickets?
I think it's part of their registration for Jeff Cup. It's like built into it, but it still counts. So I was just shocked by that. I would have bet anything that there was another 5K plus.
Yeah, probably. I could just imagine Camp and you probably sitting in a room and Rob is like, "Hey, we can invite everyone for free." And Camp is like, "They got to pay, dog. You gotta pay. Ain't no more free. Ain't
Well,
no more free.
They're not buying any drinks, so you know
Yeah,
he's not earning any money on the other end of them.
Yeah,
no.
16 and 17-year-olds famously never try to buy drinks.
They try. They try. Shanir, any last things from you, my good man, before we wrap up?
I just really hope that this time is taken by the team to kind of tweak what needs to be tweaked and adjust what needs to be adjusted, so that when we go up against Union Omaha, we know it's going to be a tough game. You know, let's come in strong. Let's come in organized. Let's come in ready to shut them out.
Okay. Okay. Kate, you already had a fantastic rant, but any last things from you before we wrap up, homie?
No, support your local. It doesn't matter what league they play in, because guess what? The only money they're making pretty much is from your ticket sales and from your concession sales, from your jersey purchases. So if you want soccer in your community, you got to go out there and support it regardless. I mean, unless they're active criminals, I can make an exception for those people who don't want to support those criminal owners in their community, because we've seen those come and go. But nobody is going to save soccer for you. You just have to go out and you have to spend your money on it. You have to show the owners of those communities that you're interested in your team, that you support them, because that's the only way this sport's ever going to grow in the country. There's no silver bullet. Nobody's coming to save us. You just have to go out there and do it yourself.
Yeah. Can't raise them tariffs because you see how that's failing. But with all that being said, for Matt, for Shanair, for Kate, and myself, we just want to say thank you for taking the time of your day for listening to our podcast. As well, if you can as well, make sure you donate to our Ko-Fi. That is Ko-Fi .com/River City 93, or you go to our website, River City 93, and there go to the donation tab there. You can do as low as $1 per day, or you can do a subscription for as low as a cup of coffee a day. That's what we call Ko-Fi. And those costs does not go to any of us directly. It goes to the production of this podcast, mics, everything like that. Maybe if we do a little travel, anything like that. So if you are willing to help out, that's greatly appreciated. No pressure outside of that. But for that being said, for everyone here, we will holler you guys April 13th. That is a while away. So hopefully by the time we come back, we have 2 good wins to talk about, and we can have more happy podcasts. But with that being said, be safe, everyone. Be easy, and we will talk to you guys later.